Hello everybody, this is Rich Goldblank here and welcome back to another Doctor Who book review. Today in this video I'm going to be reviewing the first original Doctor Who novel I read, Psi-ence fiction. So without further ado, let's take a look at the cover art. So up here we have BBC logo up the top there, this kind of blue rendition of the Paul McGann 1996 TV movie logo, or the Paul McGann logo. Science fiction down there, and then the author's name down there, Chris Boucher. And then for the cover art image itself, it's a very nice perspective cover art image. We have this apparition in the line of some cars travelling along a road, and as you can see it's a very nice perspective cover with lots of greens and the road down here and green fields here and green sky up here. It looks really good. And then there's the spine of this book. Got the Doctor Who logo again there. An extract from the cover art there. Science fiction by Chris Boucher, and then the BBC logo there. Now there's a look at the back of this book. So up here you've got that extract from the cover again, and a nice green background with a bit of the road down here. And then here you have the barcode and some prices, and then a little message down here saying Doctor Who and the TARDIS are trademarks of the BBC. Then for the blurb itself, it's reading week at the University of East Wessex, but not everything comes to a stop. The wood is still haunted. Experiments in telepathy, remote viewing, precognition and other paranormal phenomena continue in the parapsychology department. The department heads still think that the Kellerfield research fellow is out for publicity rather than psychic results. A grisly murder remains unsolved by local police. The students are holding seances in the graveyard. When the TARDIS arrives in Norsewood, the Doctor and Leela are caught up in events that are spiralling out of control. Leela is chased by a phantom and the Doctor takes to the waters. But soon it isn't just the parapsychology department's funding that's in question, it's the whole of existence. This adventure features the fourth Doctor and Leela. So it's quite a interesting blurb. I was really interested in this book when I picked it up. I think I can't remember exactly, sometime shortly after Easter last year. So yeah, I read the blurb of it in this second-hand bookshop I was looking at this book in, and it just really intrigued me, and I was a huge fan of paranormal things, and I still am to today to a certain extent. I am a really big believer in the paranormal things. I really like to watch shows like Ghost Adventures and Most Haunted. I really do like those kind of television programs, and that's the kind of main reason why I picked up this book, is because I was very interested in kind of the paranormal, and I am a believer in the paranormal, so yeah, that's why I picked up this book. Now on my overall thoughts and opinions on science fiction. In my personal opinion, this book is a bit of a mess, and a poor starting novel to my love of original Who novels. If I was to break this book down into its core components that are contained within these printed pages and awesome cover art, I would find a core central plot and 3 subplots. The core central plot is pretty awesome and probably my favourite element in this book. It's all about a group of students attending university in this novel, going into the nearby forest at night to get up to paranormal mischief by conducting seances, Ouija board sessions and all that kind of stuff. It's brilliantly written by Chris Boucher, and I really did enjoy it, and at one time I said it was essential for any horror fans. Now moving on to the first subplot, and that is a subplot that's about characterization and character developments for Leela. Within these sections we get to see her getting used to the situation she and the Doctor are involved in, and that's pretty much it. Nothing really outstanding, but still pretty enjoyable nonetheless, with some good writing and characterization of Leela. Now before we get on to the other two subplots though in this novel, let's just go over my other good points before we get what I have with this book, other than the two subplots I just talked about. Another good point about this book is the characterization, and the characters within this book are really good. For example, the character Chloe, I think that was her name, is really good and well written and gets to interact with Leela a lot, which does lead to some interesting scenes between the two. I would also say that the depiction of the Fourth Doctor in this book is very good as well. I also did really like the climax to this novel. I can't remember too much about it because it's been like a year and a half since I've read this book, and nor can I really talk too much about it because I'll probably spoil a bit of the novel, but I do remember it being one of the best parts of this book. Another great point about this book for me was the first seance scene in this book, which is where all the demonic and paranormal stuff within this book is set in motion. I found that a really good scene and very well written, scene by Chris Boucher. Now we get on to the other two subplots. Oh dear. The first of these two subplotties is really just policemen investigating murders in a local area, which I can see possibly being enjoyable, but I just found it a bit dull. Maybe it's the writing or something else, I'm not sure, I can't quite put my finger on it. The other subplot, which may have just been a mini subplot, I'm not sure, which was just about the Doctor investigating the possibility of contaminated water. I do vaguely remember it playing a pretty key role in this book, which was just to get the Doctor to the location of the climax, but again I just found it pretty dull, nor does the premise of it really spark any interest in me. One other problem I have with this book is the title. Science fiction. Quite a clever play on words, meshing sci and science together, and just in case you didn't know, Psi or Psi's is a kind of title given to people who can kind of speak to the dead, like mediums and all that kind of thing. So that's why I guess it's kind of called science fiction, just to give it that more kind of paranormal and unearthly feel to the book. It's like I said, it's quite a clever play on words, meshing sci and science together, but it just still sounds like something Chris Boucher pulled out of his arse when he just couldn't think of something else as a title. In conclusion, I'm not really sure what to rate this book. It had a pretty fantastic core central plot, some good characters and a great science scene at the start, but 3 unremarkable and 2 boring subplots. I would overrate science fiction a 4.5 to a 6.5 out of 10. And that pretty much concludes my Doctor Who book review of science fiction, written by Chris Boucher. So like, favorite, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Pitch Skull Black, dematerializing.